Every story has an ending. Does our quest to play the top 100 courses in 10 years have a good ending? I'm Nish, and I'm your host, guiding you through this golfing journey. This is the Top 110 Golf Podcast. Bonus episode, Jerk That Lower Back. Twist and bend and hyperextend. Does that sound like your golf? I had a recent incident with my elbow that got me thinking about getting some advice from a friend, Denika, who's an expert in this kind of thing. Now, I've got a podcast, so nothing's quite private anymore, so this is going to happen in front of a mic. So, as I said, I'm joined by my pal Denika. So I've got some blurb about her here. She's a physiotherapist, which is actually why she's here. And she's got 15 years experience in the NHS and the private sector. And if that wasn't enough, she's also found time to teach Pilates for the last 7 years, and she recently had a beautiful baby girl, Cara. Now, if you're like me and you're getting tired just thinking of all the stuff that she's doing, she also specialises in musculoskeletal physiotherapy. That's exactly what I bless you. And she sees a multitude of conditions to do with the back, the shoulders, pardon me, and the neck.
It's a bit like
Is that
head,
right?
shoulders, knees and toes, isn't it?
Head, shoulders, knees. That's very baby centric.
You can tell I'm in baby brain mode as well.
I know, straight away. So welcome to the podcast, Denika. Thanks for coming today. And obviously I'm going to discuss my problem with you straight away, of course, because that's why you're here. What do you do when you get an expert in? You talk about yourself.
Yeah.
But before that, who are you?
Who am I? Who are you? I know it seems a bit mad to have been working for 15 years. I know I don't look it because my skincare regime, but no, yes, so I've been doing physio for 15 years, working in the NHS, working privately, set up Pilates a few years ago. That was a big passion of mine. And I think I just really enjoy someone will come to me like yourself with an issue, and you're a bit like a detective being a physiotherapist. So it's like, right, what happened? When did it happen? Is there anything that brings it on? So getting a big full history from that person, and then basically using the science to work out, right, is it a muscle? Is it a tendon problem? Is it a nerve problem? So I love my job. I'm really lucky to do a job that I really enjoy. And then you're seeing people progress and do their exercises hopefully and get better. So tell me then, what's been happening with you?
Well, my main issue has been that I woke up one morning and it was my elbow, and I was like I've got tennis elbow or whatever it is. I mean, I don't play any tennis or anything like that, but so it's the outside of my elbow just here, and I always get because I lean on my elbows a lot when I work.
Yeah.
So Emma, my wife, being a nurse, as you know, and she's the least sympathetic nurse you could ever meet. She was just like, you just need to stop leaning. Like, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay, but I don't really lean that much now.
Yeah.
Just maybe when I'm eating. So, but then I couldn't quite figure out why am I getting this pain on like the outside bit of my elbow. So, I mean, is it tennis elbow? Is that what it is?
Yeah. So it's very interesting. So elbow's very interesting joint in itself. So you can have a tennis elbow, which is actually the outside part where you're getting your pain.
Right.
Or the medical name is a lateral epicondylitis.
Lateral epicondylitis.
Rolls
Okay.
off the tongue.
Yeah. Easy.
Sounds like a cocktail, actually, doesn't it?
I'll have two lateral
epicondylitis.
Epicondylitis, please. Light high, is it?
Would you like cream with that?
Yeah. Shaken or stirred.
And then the inside portion is golfer's elbow. So that's the flexor. So basically, the inside of the elbow is the flexor tendon. So that's known as golfer's elbow. I'm not a golfer, but it must be the way you do your.
And that's the thing. It's called golfer's elbow.
Golfer's elbow is the flexor tendon.
Oh, you learn something new every day.
Exactly.
And that's the inside.
Basically inside. So you've got your common flexor origin, and they all come down all those tendons into the hand.
So mine's not the common one. Mine's the.
So yours is that's your flexor, whereas yours is more the extensor. So classic symptoms are it can be quite tender.
Yeah, like just when you're pushing that there.
So about like there.
Yeah.
Your tendon.
Yeah, that was a sharp pain there actually.
Yeah, so your tendon attaches to the bone. They run down, so there's 6 or 7 different tendons that come into you've got one for your first finger, one for the ring finger.
Is this bad? Is this terminal, doc?
No,
I think there's
good stuff we can do.
Don't have to give up golf, do I?
No, not at all. As physios, we want to make sure we're promoting you
to
stay active.
Okay.
So a little test we can do is test that tendon. So if you push your hand up against my hand, How does that feel?
That's all right, actually, at the minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then if you do it with your middle finger,
Oh, yeah, I can feel that a bit
yeah.
now.
So
Yeah.
that's your extensor carpi radialis brevis.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's a little test that we do in
See a
physio.
Roman emperor?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair
Who,
enough.
who thought a middle finger would be so painful?
I
I
know,
nearly did
yeah.
it that way then, and I thought, no, that's inappropriate, isn't
Reckon that's what
it?
So Solid Crew meant with up middle finger. Is that what it was, do you
Yeah.
think? That is, you're
But
right,
what's
that.
really interesting, so if we do that
I can
test
see it
again,
moving there now,
yeah.
actually.
So if we actually give that tendon, offload it, bit of support, and then I get you to do that again, does it feel as sore?
Oh, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
don't feel anything there at all.
So the big thing
So
to
that's
get it
easy.
better, yeah, big thing to get it better is stretches and exercises, and we can come on to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But you can also get a little, they call it like an epicondylitis class.
I've seen people wearing those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if it was particularly bothersome during your golf or
Yeah.
anything day to day, you can basically buy one of those for a couple of quid from Amazon, Decathlon, and they're really good to just offload the tendon.
Right.
So you can do what you want to do, enjoy your golf, but
Yeah.
you've not got that niggling
And that's what it's
yeah.
doing, is it? It's just
It's
making
just-
sure it's supported and
Yeah,
it's not
giving
fully
it that little
stretched.
bit, because what actually happens is where the tendon attaches to the bone, the epicondylitis, anything ending in itis means inflammation. So where
Right.
the
Okay.
tendon attaches to the bone, it's basically tugging on that area of the bone and causing
Right.
it to become really inflamed and
Because
sore.
tendons are attached to bones, is that right?
That's right, yeah, yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah.
That's
So you,
just GCSE biology
yeah,
coming
there
out
you
there.
go.
Tendons are attached to right.
Yeah,
Okay.
tendon attached to the bone. So basically, if you were getting golfers or tennis elbow, that clasp would be quite helpful, just as a way that
Right.
you can
Okay.
still do what you need to do, but
So I can buy some more gear, basically.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
It's a good excuse.
Right. Happy days. If Ping want to do a branded epicondylitis brace or whatever it was called,
Yeah,
then I'm happy for that.
there
That'd
you
be
go.
great. Wonderful. Okay, well that's me done.
Yeah,
So thanks for coming on. See you
no
later. We're all
problem.
done. Right, but you are on here for a wider purpose, Denika, and I think it would be remiss of me not to use your expertise and your knowledge to help out
Yeah,
the 2 or 3 people who are listening to this.
yeah,
So we obviously had a bit of back and forth, didn't we? We're trying to figure out
yeah.
what are we going to talk about? What's
There's
sort
so
of relevant?
much we could talk about,
Yeah,
isn't there?
exactly. I mean, in the world of musculoskeletal physiotherapy, I think you could do quite a lot. So I sort of left it a bit to you to
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
go
yeah,
with. And we sort of broke it down to a couple of little things, but look, I'm just gonna let you fire away.
yeah.
What sort of things do you want to talk about that you think are really good for us?
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting because I'm not a golfer myself, but I have over the years treated patients who've come in and said, "Oh, I've hurt my back at golf, hurt my shoulder." So I think common areas, and again, I suppose it's the force that you're putting through your swing and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
repetitive nature of it. I would say shoulder pain. So you see people
yeah.
with shoulder problems, see people with elbow problems like yourself. Knees as well sometimes can be a bit of a tricky area for people.
Right.
And also plantar fasciitis, which
I've had that.
firsthand. You're like my expert patient here.
Absolute fucking agony it was, but I've had that. Yeah, now that's like a family thing, I think.
Yeah, and it's just interesting because again, as a physio, we're being a bit of a detective. It's like, tell me. I always say to the patient, right, show me what you do when you swing your golf. I nearly said stick then. Club.
Stick club.
Golf stick.
It's definitely a golf club,
Golf
but we'll let
club.
you off. A golf stick is absolutely fine. I don't know why it's called a golf club actually, because the way you play is called a golf club,
Yeah.
and then what you swing is called a golf club. It makes kind of no sense. But then you club a seal, don't you? So maybe it's a reference to that.
Maybe. Hopefully you're not clubbing anyone if you're behind
No,
your points.
just a bit of heather and gorse on the side of the course. That's all. Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. That's fine. Yeah. And they'll actually just demonstrate like this is what I do, and
get
you're like,
them
oh,
to, yeah, and it's not as if I'm correcting them for technique, but it's more to be like, what is the body doing as the, doing the golf swing? And it's interesting then because if, I suppose from this way you might be able to help me with my knowledge, if you've got a poor posture or there's something going on that's not quite right with the swing,
yeah,
if they're,
all of that,
yeah,
poor posture and bad
that's
swing.
it. And
Yeah.
if you think like when you're out, how many hours are you out for when you play golf?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably you're playing for 4.5 hours, aren't you? But
Yeah.
actually swinging a club, maybe 10 minutes the whole round.
Yeah.
However, you are it's
Yeah,
jerky
that rotational.
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I suppose if your technique's not right, you're repeatedly doing the same thing
This is
wrong.
it. Yeah,
So that's another thing.
yeah.
And I suppose there's also the argument that you're doing it in really short, sharp bursts of exercise, then it's cold again in between, and then
Exactly.
you're doing it again, then cold
Yeah,
again, and
yeah,
that's probably not good, is it,
yeah. And
either?
that's it. It's
Right.
interesting that if you're, I mean, would you warm up yourself normally if you go, or do you
I'm
tend to
going
just,
to get onto that, aren't we?
yeah,
Because I'm as Chris has found out now, I'm a rock up,
yeah,
very barely take a practice swing, and I just start.
right, okay,
Um, but about 4 years ago, I found this guy online, as you do.
yeah,
This is all done online, isn't it? You don't
yeah,
actually go and see anybody. Why do I see an expert? That's stupid.
yeah.
But I found this guy online whose coaching was all about coaching older players how to play golf.
Okay.
And he's called Tom Saguto, if anybody wants to have a look at him. But he's brilliant.
Yeah,
But his whole pardon me, his whole shtick is he wants you to be able to use your body more
yeah,
rather than your arms and your elbows and things like
yeah,
that. Your trunk,
yeah,
because you've got more that you can do with that and
yeah,
generate power with that, and then
yeah,
that's repeatable and causes less injury
yeah,
than actually just
yeah.
beasting it with your arms and
And that makes perfect sense because if you're using all your shoulders,
yeah,
bit like the tennis elbow, in your shoulder, you've got four big tendons, your rotator cuff.
yeah.
So if they're getting inflamed and irritated, you can call it a shoulder impingement. It might be because you're not using is
Let's
your
just call it a shoulder impingement between friends, shall we?
yes.
Yeah, let's call it a shoulder impingement. Love it.
But if if you've not got that good core strength in your tummy muscles, your back muscles, you are gonna then be overcompensating potentially with
Yeah,
a shoulder, with an elbow. So yes, that's really interesting actually that was his approach because
yeah, yeah.
if you can generate that power from the core, and that's where Pilates comes into it,
Yeah,
which is
well, I
really
mean, I think
interesting.
we should do that, to be honest, because
Yeah,
I mean, I used to when I finished uni, me and my mate Tom does our artwork. We used to do yoga classes all the time.
yeah,
Um, but and Pilates is different. And
yeah.
why is Pilates different from yoga then?
So I would say, because I love yoga and
Yeah,
I would often go to yoga myself, yoga would be more maybe for, it's still strengthening, but it's more for mobility.
right,
Whereas Pilates, the big focus is on improving core strength,
right.
your breathing. So your core muscles are a bit like a cylinder. So you've got like a breathing muscle, your diaphragm,
Yeah.
and then you've got different layers, including like your pelvic floor, your abdominal wall, and your back. So if you think of your core a bit like a tin of beans, so
All
to
right. Okay.
speak.
Apt. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
um, the idea behind Pilates is you want to generate as much strength and endurance. So it's not just about how strong your muscles are, but
Yeah.
it's how long can your muscles keep on working for. So I suppose
Yeah.
think of it a
Okay.
bit like the Duracell bunny kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
analogy. So with Pilates, it's all about trying to get you as strong as you can. So when you are doing other things, then with the other muscle groups around there, you're not compensating.
Yeah. And I
Um,
suppose there's no point just doing a short, sharp burst.
yeah,
It needs to be repeatable, doesn't it?
yeah,
And just you
that's
can
it.
keep. Yeah.
and
Okay.
and muscles as well. So you've got what they call slow twitch muscles and fast twitch muscles.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going back into my first year
Well,
of
they talk
uni, but
about
this
this.
is
I've heard that phrase with sprinters. I think they
yes,
do that with sprinters quite a lot, don't they? Say they have good
yeah,
fast twitch fibers and
that's
stuff like
it,
that.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's important with any type of training. You're training for golf, you're training for I don't know football, whatever. It's utilizing the right muscle type. So you want to work both types of muscle effectively. So I suppose when you're doing your swing,
Yeah.
you might be using
That's
the
correct.
bigger
Swing. Yeah.
swings.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go. I know I said when you're swinging,
When you're
well, that's wrong,
swinging,
isn't
it's
it?
definitely the wrong
That's
kind of
another
podcast.
that's
Yeah.
another podcast.
Yeah.
When you are doing your swing, it could be that you're using a bigger proportion of the fast twitch muscles. So it's just yeah, it's
Right.
interesting just
Okay.
as a physio, even though I don't know much about golf.
Yeah.
It's just interesting the different components of fitness.
Right. Okay.
Um,
So Pilates would definitely be a better thing to do because you're working on the core strength, and that's
yeah,
golf specific. I mean, or sport specific
yeah,
maybe.
that's it.
It's
Yeah.
obviously all still good
And
for you, isn't it? But
exactly. And the thing is, it could be that you do Pilates and you do a bit of yoga. And sometimes when you go to the classes, there is a bit of an overlap. So it's not
yeah.
just
Yeah.
there's kind of separate exercises. You will get a little bit of overlap between them. But especially the Pilates I teach is like physio-led Pilates.
Right.
So a lot of people who will come to my class, they say, oh, I've never done Pilates, and they think of the real traditional classical Pilates where people are doing crazy things. And it's like, no, it's beginners, it's suitable for everyone, and especially I like to make it so it's inclusive for people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
in that class, there's people with arthritis, there's people who might have had surgery on their hips, so it's quite a mixed bag.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's what I find interesting as well, because I think as a physio, our big job is promoting physical activity,
yeah,
exercise, movement, wellness, and I think you should be able to. That's my job, to be able to adapt. So if you come in and you're like, oh, you know what, my elbow's playing up today, I can't do this. It's like, right, okay, we'll always find a different exercise for you to do. So
oh,
it's
so you could do
similar.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
can
yeah,
modify it. Because that's the way it should be. People shouldn't be restrained from exercising because they've got an
yeah,
injury. It's like, actually, we want to keep you going. So if you come in to see me now and you're like, do you know what, I'm playing golf at the weekend, it'd be like, right, okay, these are little things you can do. Try buying one of those clasps. There's a few
yeah,
stretches that you might want to do. So especially, we'll get onto that, but like making sure before you set off, a few simple stretches might be enough to just keep
yeah,
injuries at
yeah.
bay as well. So yeah, it is. It's interesting.
Okay. I mean, I'm definitely going to get a. I mean, I might as well. It makes
Yeah,
complete
yeah,
sense because
yeah.
I can use my Amazon Prime account then.
Mhm.
But what got you in? I mean, obviously you're a physio, and I get, and your Pilates is based around more a physio concept than
Yeah,
just let's just do Pilates.
yeah,
Um, obviously, 7 years ago you'd have gone, I really want to do this. Like,
yeah.
what made you do that?
I think it was because I'd been using it with patients on a one-to-one level in the NHS in work. And then one of the physios who I work with said, you should do this for us at lunchtime. This would be a really nice thing to do. So I was like, right, fair enough. And then the way we are in the NHS, obviously, we're mad busy, you're back to back with patients. So it's actually quite nice at lunchtime. We went into the gym at work. I give them a Pilates class, and they were like, this is really good. So then I thought, do you know what? This would be good for the wider healthcare people as well, not just in our physio department.
Right?
So I got in touch with occupational health and I said, um, I'm a Pilates instructor now as well as being a physio. I've done a bit of taster session. Do you think that other people within the hospital might enjoy it? And they were like, what a great way, because we're always treating the nurses with bad backs from lifting
Yeah,
patients
yeah,
over the
absolutely.
years. And so, yeah, so basically, my first proper teaching role was in work for the staff. So they come after work, do
Great.
some Pilates, do a bit of meditation, relaxation,
Yeah,
and they go off then home. And it was quite nice because people used to feedback and say, I've actually got home, got in the house, made dinner, sat down, been quite relaxed. Whereas normally they'd be rushing
yeah,
home and
yeah.
still kind of, have stuff floating around from work in their head. And then I did that for probably about 6 months. And then I thought, you know what? I want to take this wider and I
Yeah.
want to do it in the local area. So yeah, so basically there's two ladies in my class who've been coming since the very first class. And I was like,
And they still come now.
and they still
It's
come. And
amazing.
I was like, are you not bored of me? And they were like, no, we love it. We really enjoy it. And I think the nice bit as well, because I don't take it too, obviously it's professional, but I don't take myself too seriously. It's a bit of a social thing as well for people.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
before, they come into class and they'll have a little chat and a catch up and what have you been doing this week? And
yeah.
so yeah, so for
That's
me,
nice.
just lovely. And people say, are you crazy? You're going from doing your NHS job then like going to Pilates and not getting in till 9 o'clock. And I was like, it doesn't feel like work. I think it's
Yeah.
lovely in life if you can find something a bit like you with this, with a passion and something
Oh
that
no,
you
this is
get.
a nightmare. Nightmare.
Although I have seen behind the scenes today.
Gotta get all the setup. I've got to work with JTC. Yeah,
All that gym.
I've got to put up with Chris and his hissy fits. Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
But yeah,
Somebody said, did they, like the old phrases, like, if you find something you love, you'll never work another day in your
exactly.
life, and
Yeah.
that's absolutely right.
Yeah, and I think I'm very lucky with both my physio profession and with the Pilates. It's, don't get me wrong, we all have days, don't we? We're like, oh God, that was a bit of a day. But most of the time, it's like, actually, I'm going in to do something. I've got an amazing team around me, and I'm
Yeah,
going in to do something that I genuinely enjoy. And the best satisfaction is I remember before I finished my mat leave, I had a man with back pain, and he was a bit dismissive, and he was like, I don't see what these exercises are going to do. And I said, you know what?
so hang on, he's paid to come to your class, and then he's like, I don't see what the
Yeah,
point is.
yeah.
But that makes no sense, does it
Yeah.
really?
And I said, do you know what? Just give it a go.
Yeah,
And if it's not for you, not for you, you don't need to come back. But
yeah.
just sit. And do you know what? After a few sessions, then he was just like, oh, actually, I've not been as stiff, and I've, can get up in the morning, and
Oh,
I'm doing a
brilliant.
few exercises at home because he was working from home. So it's like, right, do you know what? Set a little alarm, and every so often, get up, go make a brew while you're waiting for the kettle to boil. You can do a few of these exercises.
Yeah.
And that gives me great, it's just so lovely to be
Well,
able
it's
to,
nice to turn a non-believer
yeah,
into a believer,
yeah,
isn't it? I think that's
definitely.
always a good It's kind of a perk of
Yeah,
the job, I suppose, isn't it?
definitely.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't get that mindset. There's loads of people who are like that, aren't they? They're like,
Yeah.
well,
And
this isn't for me.
this is
I use
it.
my mum as an example. She went to see a hypnotherapist about something. I think she used to grind her teeth.
Ah,
She went
right.
to see a hypnotherapist about grinding her teeth because it was really bad.
Yeah.
And my dad had paid for a course of 6 sessions up front,
Right.
so then got a bit of a discount for doing that. And after the first session, my dad went to go and pick her up, and the guy, again, they'd finished already. They were sat in the lounge, and my dad comes in, and he just goes, "Here's your cash. She won't go under like that." And because my mum had gone in, like, just
This is
completely
not for
closed off.
me.
This is not for me. And he's
Yeah.
like, she's just sat there, and she was like, she was just rigid, just tense, like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's
Yeah,
gonna
this
happen?
is
And she
it.
just wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
And we're just all like, Mum, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna help you. Like,
This is it.
this is good for your teeth.
Yeah, yeah.
No, there's got to be a better way of doing it. It's like, you found the guy. Like, what's
Yeah.
your problem? Just go ahead
Yeah.
with it. But you can be like that,
Oh,
can't
of
you?
course, and it's really interesting. So there was a study done in the physio world. So if you believe that your physio or the physio itself is going to help and get you better, so if you've got more of a positive outlook,
Yeah,
you are probably more often than not, you're going to get better.
yeah,
Whereas if you go in with that negative mindset,
yeah.
you're not got faith in whoever's treating you, then you're probably not going to get better. And
There's
I
a
was
name
like,
for this, Danica.
yeah,
It's called confirmation bias.
ah,
Did you know that?
no, to know
So you
that.
look for things that confirm what your bias is,
Ah, that's
and that
interesting.
then sends you into that spiral or the other
Ah,
way. So if you like going, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work,
yeah.
the second that something doesn't quite go right, you're like,
Then you're
told you,
like,
that's it. Yeah, it's just,
ah,
that's it. I knew it. And then you close yourself off
so
and
there's a science to it
things
as
don't
well.
happen. So yeah, there's a
No,
bit of science
that's
to it.
interesting.
Yeah, try and use that with the kids, but it doesn't really work. So okay, so you know, obviously getting into that kind of right, I wanna do this, and I imagine, you know, we used to really enjoy the 5 minutes at the end.
Yeah.
You lay down, feel
Oh,
yourself
yeah.
sinking into the floor, take a
Oh,
deep breath, all that kind of thing.
yeah.
I was always more like petrified of that, so I was like my mum at that point, like
Yeah.
stiff as a board, like not because I was like I snore,
Yeah.
and I knew exactly if I got to sleep I'd
I,
snore, I just knew it.
I think it's the best. It's a measure of someone having a great class. There
Yeah.
was there was a time one time where I
This
do the
one
whole
time
this
at
one time
Pilates camp.
this one time, and I was like, right, everybody. And then I was kind of like, we'd done the meditation. I was like trying to bring them back into the room. And I was like, if you just gently want to open your eyes, you just gently want to sit up. And there was a lady right at the back of class snoring. So she was there with a friend. So a friend was poking her. Nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely
She was
gone.
in a trance.
She was in a trance. And I was like, just gently. And when everybody's ready, and she was just still flat out asleep. So I walked over and I was like, it's okay now, you can
Come
watch.
on, love, your
She was
time's
like,
up.
I was like, no, I was like, I've taken it as a complete compliment that
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. She's like, I've had a mad busy day, and I just went off into my own little world. And I was like, brilliant. That's
Yeah,
what
and
we
actually
do.
that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was like, yes, that was a
Happy
brilliant
days.
class for her.
We did so yeah, that's just reminded me actually. So I did a training course at this so many years ago, like my old company and another company were merging in beauty industry, so it was all like all young girls and whatever.
Yeah.
So me as a manager, like we took part in all the training with everybody, just didn't do the hands-on stuff. So
Yeah.
part of the session was it was an NLP master, neuro linguistic programming
Oh,
master.
I've done stuff on that in the past.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
he was like,
interesting.
he said, oh, so we're going to get your mind into the right frame of mind, you know, for the training. So it was like, right,
Yeah.
everyone close your eyes. And it was like, training, it started at 8 o'clock in the morning, but I had to travel
Right.
2 hours to get there. So I was up from 5.
Oh
So I was
gosh.
tired on the way there.
Yeah.
This is my excuse anyway. I was tired on the way there, get there, and it's like, right, now close your eyes. So, you know, so you've been up 3 hours driving,
Right.
and you're like, oh, this is great, right, okay.
I'm going.
So he's obviously then he started like, you know, and he's using his NLP terms and he's probably using the
Yeah.
right words to send you into a bit of a deeper
Yeah.
sleep sort of thing. So I'm just like, yeah, fine. And
Where's my
then
cushion?
I knew it, like straight away I knew it. I'm like, I'm properly asleep here. And I was like, I'm not gonna wake up now. Just leave it. Just leave it. Anyway, I came round eventually. Like I didn't know what had happened. I came round,
Yeah.
and as I opened my eyes, everyone was just stood around me,
Oh,
and I was like, oh,
what's happening
like what's
here?
happened here? You know, and they were like, oh, I think you were enjoying your relaxation time. I was like, what was it like 10 o'clock or
Yeah.
something now? Like,
The whole morning's gone.
yeah, why has everyone stood around me? But yeah, that's probably should have nightmares about that, really, shouldn't I? It's a bit of a bad experience that, but yeah, I used to love that. That 5 minutes was great.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
need it. I think life is so busy and the world is so hectic that we're so busy going from one thing to another, especially with kids, babies, you don't often find time for yourself, and that's some of the feedback to, if anyone ever thinks, oh, Pilates isn't for me or yoga's not for me, go and try it. I always think, go and try it.
Yeah.
And if you try it and it's not for you, fine, you'll find something else. But I think just going and having time for yourself. Even me as a physio and a Pilates instructor, and sometimes it's like, oh, I need to do some exercise today. Right, well, Cara's upset, she needs feeding, I'll do it after that. Oh, wait, then I need to put the washing on. If you're trying to do stuff at home, we've got a house, we've got 2 bikes, 3 bikes in our house, weights.
Whose bikes are they?
A load of my better other halves just sat there.
25 bike helmets as well.
But we've got all this equipment, yet you don't often find the time because there's always something to do, there's housework to do. So I think sometimes going off to a class can be a really nice way. We've got an hour of solid time to yourself and to focus on that area as well. So yeah.
But you do online stuff as well, don't you?
Yes, I have a YouTube channel, Pilates with Denika. So again, if you didn't want to fork out for a class, we'll throw a link up. Go on and have a watch of the videos, and there's loads of different videos I've put up there over the years.
I'd be dying to do this. Link in the bottom.
Link.
Link
follow
in the
me,
bottom.
Follow me.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay. No, I think that it's brilliant. I mean, to do that on top of your normal work as well. And actually, I didn't know that about the story of how that kind of evolved. So it's really nice that, it's adding something for your colleagues and going, actually, people want to do this. So let's do a little bit more.
Definitely.
Wonderful. And that's why you're here. So, okay, you mentioned you do see few golfers and things like that. So obviously you mentioned shoulder can be a common injury. I mean, I used to, before obviously started using this different swing type, I used to come off the golf course and my lower back was killing me. And I'm talking full on, like I can't walk, I'm just need to sit down for 10 minutes and I'll gradually make myself up to the way to the shower and that'll sort it out. So back, I imagine, is a massive.
So back pain in itself, so 8% of the population will have back pain at some point in their life.
8%?
80.
Oh, 80?
80, yeah. So it's so common. Now that will vary from, my brother actually a few weeks ago was ringing me because he picked up their pug dog and he was like, my back's gone. And I'm like, what have you been doing? He's like, picked up the pug dog. I was like, oh, right. And like, don't get me wrong, it's a chunky dog. Though I was giving it However, it is a pug dog. It's not as if he's been doing the strongest man, isn't it, with the big stones or whatever. But yeah, it can be something benign that sets it off. So it can be, back pain is classified as, is it a muscle problem?
Right.
You've got lots of discs in the spine as well, so you can have an inflammation of the disc, and that tends to be quite local. You can get sciatica, which is a pain in the bum, literally. So that nerve travels from your back, through your buttock, down the back of the leg, all the way down to the foot. And you often get pins and needles and numbness with that. Right. I suppose like Tiger Woods is an example. It's interesting as a physio seeing what happened with him.
So you can probably clear this up a little bit now. So with Tiger Woods, they keep going about is had like surgery to fuse some vertebra together. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't sound like it's a healthy thing to do to me, to the layperson, I suppose. But
it's interesting because I think depending on obviously I work in the NHS, so there's different schools of thought between NHS physios, private physios. But for him, it must have got to a point where his discs must have had quite a lot going on for them to do a surgery. But when they fuse it, it means, so normally the way that your spine is, you've got your vertebrae stacked one on top of another, and then your discs are like your jelly material in between,
and they can you can move around,
you can basically rotate, you can side flex forwards, backwards, and your discs are made of strong stuff. So I think the other thing, and this is like a bit that I kind of get frustrated with, is sometimes people can catastrophize. So you might see some people,
that's a good word, catastrophize.
So
I like a good big word. Yeah.
Some schools of thoughts are, be careful with your back. You shouldn't bend. You shouldn't twist. You shouldn't do this.
And treat it like glass, sort of thing.
Treat it like glass, and it's like that's the worst thing you can do, because the disc material is filled with liquid. So you've got what they call the nucleus in the middle, and then you've got rings of cartilage, a bit like if you cut a tree down. You can see the rings. That's what the disc material is like. Right. So it needs movement to lubricate.
Can you tell how old a human is if you cut their spinal cord and count the rings?
That'd be a little
count the rings on or just ask him. It's probably easier to do that, isn't it? What year were you born,
The other way I say, imagine missing a loaf of bread? And my patients always be like, why is she going on about bread when I'm here with back pain?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, right, I didn't know. Right, okay. Yeah. So I suppose then you got to keep that supple and
Yeah,
and
exactly.
uh,
So if you're always holding yourself in a bit of a certain position, because people say, oh, you need to always stand up with good posture. I mean, I've probably been sat here like this,
oh yeah, I mean I
and
am
it's like
so
there's
yeah.
no one good posture. So it's very much about like with Tiger Woods, you wonder like over the years, I don't know, this is me going out on a limb here. Did he get advice that was a bit cautious, a bit protectionary? It's
Yeah, yeah.
interesting, but once they do that spinal fusion, the disc material of the self, they remove it and then they'll use like a metal cage to fuse that area. I mean, there's loads of different ways of doing it, but
Right.
essentially, then rather than you having that kind of freer movement, you're going to be.
It's
So when
rigid.
I've seen patients have a spinal fusion, do it quite often for neck issues, for discs in the neck. It's almost then like they'll get other compensatory things in time because if one
Right.
area is fixed,
Yeah.
something else has to give
So
to.
presumably that means if he's had that in his lower back, for instance,
Yeah,
I presume that means that then he can't bend forwards, backwards as freely,
yeah, definitely. There'll
and
be some
the
element of
twisting disappears.
limitation. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
'cause
then
he's
you're
had a
probably going to.
couple of those surgeries,
He's
hasn't
had
he?
a quite,
So
yeah, he's had a few. So then your hips are potentially going to be an area for more movement because
yeah,
your lower back.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's very interesting.
Wow.
And I mean, with back pain, there'll be someone like my brother who picks up the dog and it's just
Yeah.
pulled a muscle and it's a bit
Which
irritated.
brother, by the way? You can name check him.
Yeah, Jordan.
Jordan. We know about your story
We
now,
know,
Jordan.
we know.
Yeah, don't be trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Oh, it's really heavy lead pipe, that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's interesting because um he was seeing a private physio and he was like, you need to be really careful, blah blah blah. And then my brother was like, well actually they're having a new kitchen. So he spent like a few hours and he went, it actually felt better after being in the kitchen and move. And I was like,
right.
exactly, because you can't wrap yourself up in cotton wool.
Correct,
Obviously,
yeah.
when it's an acute flare up, take it a bit
Yeah.
easier. But I was like, motion is lotion. I like that.
Motion is
Motion is
lotion.
lotion. That's like a nice little.
There's a t-shirt, I
There you
think.
go.
That's
You
it.
can get that on a hoodie for
That's
me.
on the new merch range coming soon.
But I think, fair enough, when you're in an acute flare, you're not going to
Yeah.
do a marathon, but it's that thing of knowing that it's safe to exercise. Even if you're getting
Yeah.
a little bit of pain, we normally say if 10 out of 10 is the worst pain on earth,
Yeah.
up to like a 4 or 5 out of 10. So with your elbow, if you did your round of golf and then the next day it was like a 9 out of 10, then I say, right, Nish, 4 hours out on the course is probably a bit too much. Next time you go out, do half.
Play faster.
Yeah.
Get it over and done with. Yeah.
But it'd be do half of what you did,
Yeah.
and then you might say to me, do you know what? I did half, and it was a 4 out of 10. Perfect. The
Yeah.
tendon itself needs that bit of exercise,
Yeah.
but not to the point where it's creating a load of inflammation
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
spiking the pain. So it's
Keep
finding
keep
that.
the blood flowing,
Yeah,
but
that happy
don't
balance.
strain it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So I mean, so bring it back to backs sort of thing, people like that. So what kind of things would you expect a golfer to have with their back? I mean, because that it used to be I feel like a crunching pain in your lower back, and
Yeah,
it take ages to loosen up,
yeah.
and like I don't know what's going on there then.
Yeah. So again with yourself, so you've got the discs. So it
Yeah.
could be the disc itself is getting a bit inflamed and irritated.
Yeah.
You've also then got the little joints, so they call it the facet joints.
Right.
So they're basically stacked up in the spine as well. So
Yeah.
sometimes it might be there getting a little bit stiffer.
Right.
So again, it's very individual.
Yeah.
People can have it, but most of the time, I think it's something like 95% of back pain will be what they call non-specific lower back pain. So it's
Yeah.
the muscle, the joint, something harmless. There's 5% of back pain. No, let me do my maths. Yeah, 95 and 5 is 100. You can tell I'm not a maths
96%
teacher.
of all statistics are made up on the spot. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Maths. I'm a good physio, but maths isn't my forte.
Don't ask me to add up. That's why they have calculators on phones.
Yeah. But this is it's really rare, but basically, there's a condition called cauda equina syndrome. So
Right.
it's always good when we're speaking about back. So if you go to your doctor, you see a physio, we'll always ask you, are you having any problems with your bladder or bowel? Are you getting any numbness
Right.
around genital area, back passage? And people look at you and think, why are you asking this? But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
because it's a condition. It's so rare. It's like 1% of all back pain will ever be cauda equina, but it's basically where if the disc is bulging to a point where it's compressing the bladder and bowel nerves, it can cause issues. So
Right,
and if you were getting any of those symptoms, we'd say go to A&E, because A&E can access the MRI scans the quickest,
and just scan it straight
and
away
they'll
and tell
scan
you.
it,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and check everything out. So yeah, so it's really rare that someone like yourself who's out playing golf, you know, you're probably never going to get those symptoms. But it's just
Yeah.
always good to be aware of that. But yeah, for yourself, it could have been that it was a bit of non-specific lower back pain. Warming up would be a useful way to minimise that from happening. So
No, not warming up.
and it doesn't need to be. So some people can warm up and spend half an hour. It's funny now because I've given my brother more exercises. So he's got a dodgy shoulder. So and he's got 2 kids as well. So before he actually does what he wants to do, he's spending
Start doing
20
it.
minutes now
Is
doing
he?
the shoulder warm up, doing his back warm up.
Don't interrupt me. It's my
Yeah.
exercising time. Got to warm up properly.
But he has said it has made a big difference then,
Great.
because he's not had, well, apart from the dog, he's not had any problems for a while.
Well, if Jordan can do it, I think I can do
Exactly,
it as well.
exactly. So yeah, so I think with yourself, it'd be interesting. We should do it as an experiment. We
Should do, yeah.
see kind
I mean, I
of.
must admit, I am getting signed up to doing a warm up now because Chris is like, yeah, I'm pointing because that's where he normally sits. But Chris is no is a he'll spend an hour warming
Right,
up and hitting golf shots and whatever,
right, yeah,
just to get limber and loose and whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't. I have never done so because in my head, I've always been like, if I start nailing it, then I feel like I'm using up all my good shots.
okay,
And then also, I'm like, if I'm not, then
yeah,
all these other things are going to creep into my head, and then
okay,
that's my day ruined sort of thing.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, look, I'm 44 years old now. I'm gonna be 45 next year. I've got another 9 years at least doing this challenge,
yeah,
and I'd
yeah,
like to play golf for the rest of my life. So actually,
exactly,
just whatever I can do now is probably a good thing to do, isn't
definitely.
it?
There you go. I could be
Set myself in good.
your sponsored physio.
I know,
You
that's
two
it.
taking over.
Yeah, we'll have to get one of those Tour de France buses
Yeah.
to take us round. No EPO going on or anything like that, but we'll get a Tour de France
Little
bus to
massage bed in the
Yeah,
background.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's like, oh, wow, sports massage. Yeah. Ah,
But it is,
brilliant.
it's
That's the
interesting.
dream.
Yeah,
Imagine that. I am now. That's all I'm thinking about is how do I buy a bus?
yeah.
I know a friend who can actually convert the bus for me, actually.
Oh, there we
See,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, there we go. There might be
Yeah.
one that's available for you right now.
Absolutely. Right. So if I then okay, let's rewind to 4 years ago, and I'd
Yeah.
come back, and it was just like back's in pain,
Yeah,
and because there'd be loads of golfers. I know there's loads of golfers. I play with them, and they're
Yeah.
like, "God, my back was terrible for a couple of days, and it's fine now, but
Yeah.
I've just about recovered."
yeah,
But is there anything? Obviously, this is difficult because it's specific to that person.
Yeah.
You don't know what the cause is.
yeah,
But if somebody does come back from a round of golf
yeah.
and they're really like bent over double in pain almost, and
Yeah.
like they just kind of, is there anything they can do just to help loosen it up a little bit? Is there anything that
Yeah,
am I
so
going?
simple things would be heat. So generally hot bath, hot shower, hot water bottle, the little wheat packs you can put in the microwave. Get that on there, because a lot of the time that I can't move is muscle spasm. So it goes into
Right.
quite an acute muscle spasm. And pain is basically protection, the body's way and the brain's way of protecting that area. So if you can get it warm, that normally will relax the area. Simple things like paracetamol, don't have to if you're not someone taking tablets, but that can be useful. Ibuprofen, they reckon, it's a bit of again in the physio world, a bit controversial. So if you've had,
Is it?
yeah, because if
Right.
you've had an acute injury, so basically when you hurt yourself, so for example, let's say your tendon now.
Yeah.
So when you first hurt your tendon and it become a problem, you get what's called the inflammatory response. So there's what they call the stages of healing. So
Yeah.
in the first 72 hours, your body will produce chemicals that are inflammatory chemicals. So
Right.
their job at first, they do produce cytokines and all
So
these
it's to make
chemicals.
inflammation, is it?
It's to
Right.
make inflammation,
Okay.
because it starts a cascade of healing. So
Right.
you've got like inflammatory response, and then you've basically got the proliferative response. So that's over a few weeks then. New fibers. So basically, when you injure yourself with a tendon problem, if you imagine this is like your muscle fibers, when you injure
All gets
yourself,
frayed and
those
spread out.
and it's the language of it. So that's interesting. You said free.
Interesting.
Free. I love this. So
Right.
people will come to see me. I'm digressing here now, but
No.
people will come and see me and
We never take a direct route to anything here, Denika.
That's
It's all
good.
about rambling and
It's
going off on a
good. I'm a
tangent.
good rambler.
Yeah.
So when patients come to see me and they say, I've been to see a specialist and my spine is crumbling. almost like a nice cheese, that, isn't it? A crumbling spine.
Right.
And I always think that's really interesting, the language that people are
Yeah,
using.
what phrase are you using there?
And
Yeah.
I'm so mindful of that. So it's like the tendon itself, if you say fraying of a tendon, what does it make you think of?
Just all ripping apart and
Yeah.
shredding and
And
yeah.
then do you think if you thought that, you'd go off and do what you want to do? You're going to be a bit more
No, you're going to be
guarded with it.
guarded, aren't you? You're going to think I need to protect it
Yeah.
and
So I remember years ago, someone saying to me, "Oh, my tendon's like a rope that's about to snap." And that is so
right.
fearful then, isn't it? You're going to
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
I'm not doing anything with this arm because I don't want it to snap. But what actually happens is you get little micro traumas. So you
Right.
get little micro traumas in that area. You then get your inflammatory mediators coming in, so they basically cause inflammation in that area. And then over time, that starts healing. And the idea of doing the exercise then and the physio way is as it's healing and you're doing gentle strengthening exercises, those tendon fibers can realign and get the tensile strength back into it and get you back into what you need to do. So that's a
Interesting.
bit of the science.
That's like muscle training, weight training stuff anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
You're basically getting the muscle to, in inverted commas, injure itself,
yeah, yeah,
and then it's repairing stronger.
yeah.
That's how it's getting bulk as well
That's
then.
it. And it's also, so it's interesting. So say for example, so muscle, the normal mechanics of muscle is it breaks down and over
Mm.
24 to 48 hours it repairs and rebuilds itself. So when you go to the gym, you do a big session, you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger going for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'll go to the gym all the time, Danica.
um,
Glad you noticed.
yeah, exactly. I'm telling you. So what actually happens then is people's like bodybuilders,
Yeah.
they're breaking down muscle to rebuild it. Now, what's interesting is, and what I would always ask a patient is how often are you playing golf? So say you went out on Monday and then, it's still a 7 out of 10 on Wednesday and you go out and you go crazy and you're not giving it enough time to rest and recover.
Right.
So your recovery is really important as
Yeah.
well. And there was a really interesting paper. So I did like a rehab module years ago and they were talking about supplements because that's the big thing, isn't it? What can I take? What can
Yeah,
I
yeah.
take
That's
to
the
aid
new
my
thing that yeah.
recovery? And people will take whey powder and creatine. And actually, they did this study, and the man, I think he was like a dietitian with like one of the Olympic teams. And what they worked out is you've got protein, and then protein's broken down into amino acids in the body. So one of the amino acids is casein. And where do you find casein? Again, it sounds like a cocktail, doesn't it? Or a
Yeah,
nice little
yeah.
tell. Um,
Or a nice girl you've met on Tinder.
yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Swiped,
Casein.
swiped
Lovely.
right.
Yeah.
Casein. It's actually found in milk. So,
Right.
and
Milk, like cow's milk, like normal
cow's
cow's milk.
milk,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah. So if you drink a glass of milk within half an hour of doing your bodybuilding or
Are
your
you kidding? Really?
activity,
That's a good thing
that can
to.
help to promote the protein synthesis.
That's interesting,
Yeah,
isn't it?
something as simple. And you could spend, like, I know my brother, again, Jordan, if he's listening.
Sean's getting rinsed, isn't he?
When back in the day when he was into his bodybuilding, he would buy like I remember big tubs in mum's
Tubs of
house
stuff.
of all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
and had to be measured and my mum's Irish and mum was horrified because he used to measure butter and mum was like, why is he
What?
measuring butter? What's that about? I was like, oh, he's in his shredding phase now. Mum is trying to be good.
You don't measure butter. Just whack as much of it on your
Dear, oh
toast as you
dear.
can.
But yeah, who'd have thought something as simple as a glass of milk?
That's
Is milk
bonkers.
brilliant? Remember the
Ain't
advert?
milk
Is
brilliant?
milk
That's
brilliant?
bonkers. That is absolutely mad.
Yeah,
That. Like I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that with milk.
no.
Yeah,
So
that's
sorry,
it.
I've digressed there. We've had
No,
a
no,
bit
no,
of an
not at all. No,
anatomy.
it's interesting that you talk about like that. Yeah, that
Yeah,
kind of language because you are right, and people like feel, I could feel like my back was crunching and all, and
yeah,
it is that kind of really negative language
yeah,
around it,
that's
isn't it?
it. And there's a big link as well between, and this is more for persistent pain. So it would be interesting because in sport they'll have sports psychologists.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting with Tiger Woods. I didn't read loads of detail into what his treatment involved, but over time, did he have positive language used? Or was it more fear mongering?
Right. Yeah.
And you just think, yeah, it's interesting just the psychology around sport, and
Yeah.
there's a big link as well between persistent pain. So if you've had an injury for up to 3 months, it's classed as acute, subacute. If you've had pain for more than 3 months, so it could be, a year, 2 years, 10 years, it's more what we call persistent pain.
Right.
And there's a big link between our thoughts, our emotions, and mood. So
Really?
in your body, you produce what they call endorphins, and I'm sure people have heard of
Yeah.
endorphins. So it's like I go for a facial. the endorphins are released. I feel lovely and relaxed
Yeah.
for it. But your endorphins, it's basically endo meaning within, and orphin like morphine, so
Right.
opioids. So when we do something that makes us feel good, we produce endorphins, serotonin. If you go for a run, you play golf, you'll get
Yeah,
that
yeah.
buzz, and
Oh,
it's
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, it's a chemical that's released a neurotransmitter in the brain. Now, in people with persistent pain, so if you imagine you've got someone telling you that your tendon is fraying and
Mm,
be careful, you're going to be a bit naffed off because you're not playing your golf. You're going to be scared to play golf, so you might stop doing it. That makes you a bit depressed and low in mood.
yeah, yeah.
If it gets to a point, and these again are extreme cases where that's then it's not just your golf it's affecting. You can't
Of
go
course.
to work, it's affecting you with your children, you
Yeah.
can't do stuff around the house. That then means that you're in a point of stress. So rather than producing endorphins and serotonin and dopamine, your body's more likely to producing your stress hormones like adrenaline and
Cortisol and stuff.
cortisol.
Yeah.
And what that does basically is I always imagine it like Pac-Man. Okay. So your
Right.
brain has got your endorphins and your serotonin going around. When you're in that negative mindset, your Pac-Man's eating all that up and you're producing more stress hormone.
Wow.
And I think sometimes when pain's been going on for years and it's affecting different aspects of people's lives,
Yeah.
they get caught in this vicious cycle then where you're not sleeping. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't get a good night's sleep, I know now I have a baby, you're exhausted. It's like a
Yeah.
form of torture, isn't it? So if you're not sleeping well, you're not doing the stuff you want to be doing, and your body's producing all that chemical stress side of things, that can prolong the pain then because you become in a vicious
Right, yeah.
cycle. So
And you're
yeah,
kind of becoming your own worst enemy, I suppose, aren't you, there? Because
yeah,
yeah, there is the physical symptom there, but
yeah,
you're not necessarily through your own fault, but you're exacerbating that
yeah.
situation, and
That's it.
yeah,
And you
that's
get
interesting, isn't
caught.
it?
It's a cyclical, yeah, that's the right word, cyclical effect. But it also, for the extreme cases, if people don't get help with it, it can spiral then and affect other aspects of life.
Right,
And
yeah.
so, yeah,
It must be difficult as a professional sports person though, because you're not only dealing with your own demons, and
mm,
that's all you do. So
yeah,
it's not like you go. I mean, if I don't play for a couple of weeks, I've got plenty of other stuff to keep me occupied.
yeah,
But
exactly.
that's your job. It's
Gosh,
what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to practice and supposed to keep
yeah,
up to date with everything.
yeah.
Um,
But the pressure as well from your fans and your
correct.
supporters,
But then
and
also it's the language around that. So the media then,
yeah,
they're all like, his career's over. Oh, he's never going to get back to what he
yeah,
was, and oh, that injury or that surgery must mean he's got to be careful.
yeah,
It's sort of entering your
yeah.
mindset
Of
without
course
even
it
really
is.
thinking
Yeah.
about it,
So
and
it'd be really interesting. I don't know if he's spoken openly about it, but to see it from his
I don't
side of
think
things
Tiger
then,
Woods has
like,
spoken about anything openly. I think he's really he's all, well, historically anyway, he's always
yeah,
been very closed door and like,
yeah,
I don't let anybody in, don't show
right,
any weakness.
yeah,
That was his upbringing, I think. That's
right,
how he did it. I think he's getting a bit better now. I think he's
yeah,
probably realised he's the older statesman and
yeah,
actually just chill out a bit, just
yeah,
relax. But
yeah,
then being the way he was is, boy, he was so damn good.
yeah.
I
This
mean,
is
I
it.
just today I reposted a story and it was I'd probably bore you with this, Denika, but it was like a really iconic moment when he won the US Masters at Augusta, and he'd like played his tee shot over the back of the green,
hmm
and he was in the playoff hole, so he's got to at least tie the hole to take it to the next hole. So
Yeah,
everyone's thinking he's off, like there's no way
yeah,
it's going to work here, and it's an impossible shot sort of
yeah.
thing, and he chipped it in.
Oh
But
wow.
it's iconic because of a couple of things happened. It was like the situation. I
Yeah,
think that won him the Masters in the end, that shot,
yeah,
and then it's when he. Oh, I didn't. I think Chris DeMarco actually might have nailed this, but I'm not sure. But when the ball was rolling
yeah.
and it was like this the crowd, and it's a par three, so the crowd's all around the green, and
Right.
it's like this roar as the ball is rolling towards the hole,
Oh
and
wow.
then it slows down,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, oh, it's not going to make it, it's not going
Not
to
gonna
make
make
it,
it.
and like it's so iconic, it's like spine tingling now.
Yeah.
It's tingling the fuse spine, uh, and it's like the camera starts panning in on the ball,
Yeah.
and then just as it stops, it looks like it stops completely, and
Yeah.
then just starts rolling again, and just as it rolls again, the Nike tick appears.
Oh
So
wow.
it's like
Could happen for Nike.
like you couldn't dream that Nike could
Did they
not
ever
made him.
use that? They should have used that as a
Oh, I
little.
think they must have done. Right?
Yeah.
But he could not. I mean, he was obviously an advertising man's dream, wasn't he, Tigers?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that, and everyone was like, who writes these
How
things for
does
him? How has that happened in
how's
real
that
life?
happened? Yeah.
Iconic moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't even know why I came up with that.
We've
Yeah, okay.
digressed again, haven't we?
Digressing, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I've got a couple of little things here. We touched upon
hmm
plantar fasciitis before. Now,
Yeah.
our dad used to have that, and it was awful for him. It was like
Yeah.
he used to always say it's like people stabbing his feet with
Oh,
broken glass, and I was
yeah,
like,
it's awful.
sounds horrible. And then
Yeah.
I started getting it,
Oh gosh.
and I've just had it recently,
Yeah.
and it was like, I mean, I couldn't walk.
Yeah. It
Like,
can be
it was
really,
that bad.
yeah, really severe.
So what do you do about that? I mean, first off, what's actually for anybody who doesn't know, I suppose maybe describe what plantar fasciitis
Yeah,
is
yeah.
and
So you've got basically the sole of your foot, you've got the plantar fascia. So it's a piece of tissue. So basically it attaches at the heel. So common area of pain would be like around the heel, underneath it, especially like the inside portion of the heel.
yeah.
That's where it attaches, so that can get quite sore. And then it basically runs from your heel down to the base of your toes. So the job of it is a shock absorber. So the job
Oh,
of
right,
that
okay.
piece of fascia, piece of tissue, is to absorb shock. So it's a common, I'd see people who are athletic get it, but also just general day-to-day people. Like,
Yeah, I'm not
will
athletic. Yeah, general. I'm your average, very immobile, sedentary lifestyle person.
and
So
it's
if I can get it, anybody can get
anyone
it.
can
Yeah.
get it. And again, it's interesting because people come in and they say the most classic sign of it is, oh, I get up in the morning and as I'm getting out of bed, I can't put weight through my foot.
And that's what it
It's
was.
such a sharp
Yeah.
pain, really excruciating pain. Some people can get mild cases, but most of the time, I suppose in physio, we're going to see the people who are really struggling. It's really severe first thing in the morning. And as you walk around and you warm up, it tends to get a little bit easier. So there's lots of different causes behind it. Big thing is foot posture. So if you're a little bit more flat-footed, so
Posture,
posture,
foot posture.
foot posture,
Yeah.
foster.
Okay. Yeah, because like I mean, it was your advice, and it was like wear trainers around the house
Yeah, so
because
walking
wearing
barefoot.
slippers and
Yeah,
stuff like that, they're all flat, aren't
slip-on
they?
slippers, women wearing the little ballet pumps, anything that doesn't give you the medial arch support.
Right.
So especially like walking barefoot. So obviously, be barefoot at times, but if it's particularly bad, wearing something with a bit more support can be helpful. People always say, "Oh, what are the best trainers?" There's no such thing as like the best
Yeah.
trainer, and I know different shops do like your gait analysis and check your running technique. Listen, it's one of those. If you want to go and do it, fine. But
Yeah.
I always say to people, try your initial things to try would be rolling. Where's your golf ball? I see the golf ball.
Yes.
Yeah,
A special golf
there
ball.
we
This is
go.
so for those not being able to see this. This is my contentious now holding one
Oh,
golf ball.
right.
Didn't realize it would be contentious, but it turns out it is contentious. People keep like questioning whether I did it or not. And it's got my face on it,
Look
so
at that.
feel free to.
There we go. Roll that. I don't
Yeah.
want to stand on your face.
No, no, please don't stand on my face. Yeah, it's not what we're here to do.
Oh dear. But yeah, if you imagine if this is your foot, what you do is you start off at the heel
Yeah.
and you'd roll it through the center of the foot, and it's basically like massaging that
Right.
area, and then you can basically spend about a minute rolling it forwards and backwards. If you find a little spot that's quite sore, do a few little circles on it, and it's a really nice way of massaging along that area because initially plantar fasciitis, again, the itis is there, that inflammation.
Inflammation, right? Yeah, yeah.
So in the acute
I didn't know
stages,
that. I didn't know what the itis meant.
yeah,
Oh, it
it's
is, right?
interesting.
Okay, yeah.
So you get that inflammatory response to begin with. And sorry, I didn't finish about the whole inflammatory and ibuprofen.
Sorry,
So
yeah.
I'll quickly go over that. So basically,
We'll cut.
yeah, in
We'll go back to.
go back to in the first 3 days of an injury, and this is any injury,
Yeah.
if you take ibuprofen, it's
Yeah.
basically slowing down your body's natural healing response.
Right. Okay.
So especially like I remember I had a patient who had fracture, and this consultant was really specific of like no anti-inflammatories because they don't want to stop the body from doing what it
What it
naturally
shouldn't
would
actually do.
and what it should
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
do.
Okay.
So again,
So you heard it here first from an NHS physio. No ibuprofen for the first 3 days. Just load up on all of that missed ibuprofen straight after the 3 days. Is that what we're saying?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
That's basically what you said.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
So
'Cause
yeah.
you're stopping a natural
Yeah,
process.
the body is fascinating, and I think your body is so good. Generally,
Yeah.
things can go not quite to plan, but your body will generally heal itself as long as you are, kind to yourself. Give yourself a little bit of time to slow down a bit when you're injured,
Yeah.
but not going to the nth extreme and resting too much. Generally speaking, your body will get there with it. But yeah, plantar fasciitis, I would say big tips for self-care would be use your golf ball for a little bit of massage. Calf stretches can be really helpful as well, so just gentle calf
Oh, right.
stretches.
Yeah. Okay.
And then footwear. So I know you guys will have to wear golf shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it could be something as simple as just getting a bit of foam insole in there,
Right.
or one with a bit of arch
Oh,
support,
yes.
just to make it.
Platform golf shoes.
Yeah, because you'll be out for, again, if you're
I tell you
wearing
what
those
though,
for a
like
few hours.
golf shoe technology now is unbelievable. Like there used to be a time when I was younger, and
Yeah.
people older than me, they were just leather brogues. That's
Yeah,
all it
yeah,
was with some spikes at the bottom. And like
yeah,
now, I've got some amazing like Nike and Adidas cushioned
yeah.
ones, and
This is
like
it. It's about the
better than my,
cushioning and
my normal running trainers. Like
yeah, this
they're
is
so
it.
good.
And I suppose if you're ever trying the self-care things and then it wasn't helping, ask your GPs to refer you to physiotherapy or podiatry. So you can buy stuff that are off the shelf, but if you think I've tried buying insoles, I've done some stretches, still not getting better, don't suffer in silence. Get them to refer you to podiatry and
Mm.
they'll look at making insoles that are specific for you.
I didn't know
Your
you could
foot.
do that. Right.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
can access podiatry and physiotherapy via your GP. Some areas will have like a self-referral, so you don't have to see the GP. You can
Right.
just ring up and basically
Yeah.
refer
Just say,
yourself.
yeah. I want to.
But use your GP as a contact for accessing services as well. And yeah, and again, there's strengthening exercise that can be done. So like going up and down on your tiptoes,
Yeah.
that's a nice way to
I've seen
strengthen
something
that.
on Instagram, and it's like putting a towel under both your feet, then using
Yeah,
your toes to crawl,
yeah,
like gather the towel up.
that's
Apparently, that's
it.
quite a good one.
Yeah, because basically we want to stretch out that area. So again, you can use like your thumb if you don't want to use a golf ball if it's a bit too painful. Use your thumb to
I mean, if you
massage
want
the
a golf ball with
area.
my face on it, just contact me and you can have one. It's not a problem.
Good stress reliever.
Yeah, yeah. Kick his face. Come on. Yeah. I tell you what worked for me. Were a couple of things that worked for me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to say a bit of ibuprofen did work, but that was like
yeah,
after 5 days of just absolute agony. I was like, I
yeah,
need to do
that's it.
something.
Yeah,
But it's obviously it was in a combination of a couple of things. But
yeah,
then the yellow spiky ball that you gave me that I would roll
yeah,
my foot
that's
on,
true. Yeah,
that really helped because it really
yeah.
eased it up.
And
And
they're
I
a bit
think
like the
stretching did do it.
definitely. And the
Yeah.
spiky balls, you might have like a tumble dryer ball, or it's just something, basically, something smooth might be just enough because the
Yeah.
spiky ball, it's like Marmite. People are like, either
Oh.
love it or hate it, but it's something that it's a good pain. It just helps to
Do you know what it
get in
is?
there.
I'd describe it exactly as that. It's like you
Yeah.
first time you do it, you're like, oh,
Ooh,
that's a
yeah.
bit much, isn't it? And then you're like,
Yeah. And then
oh,
you're like, oh,
and
and
then
then
all of a sudden you go to
yeah.
ah.
And you know what? You could be sat watching television and just be doing that. So it's,
Oh
I
yeah, I
always
used to
think,
annoy Emma. No one. She's like, what are you doing with that ball again? It's
lifting the
like, oh,
carpet
yeah,
up.
exactly. It's great. Yeah, I mean,
And I think with all of this, I think the take home thing for people is you don't have to do anything too crazy or too expensive or
yeah,
elaborate. Just the simple things sometimes are enough to either help an existing injury or hopefully to prevent you from getting an injury in the
yeah,
first
getting an
place.
injury in the first place. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean yeah, the plantar fascia. And actually, the more I talk about it, like when I'm playing golf and things like that, the
yeah,
more other people go, yeah, actually, I've had it,
really common.
or my dad's had it,
Yeah,
whatever. And it's just kind of like like it is a thing. People know
yeah,
about this stuff
definitely. Yeah,
in the musculoskeletal
yeah.
physiotherapy world. Yeah, it's a very very obvious thing to do. All right, okay. So, I mean, we all really probably do want to know because we are coming up to it's the dead time now for golfers. Like you
Yeah,
can, I've said it a few times on the podcast, and I probably will say it a few times coming up with a challenge. We want to play these courses. We want to play the 100 best in
yeah,
the
definitely.
country.
Yeah,
We've got to do 10 a year. Like we might have to do some winter golf.
yeah.
I love winter golf. Like I love
Okay.
it. Cold, crisp morning, like get your hat
Yeah,
on, all that
that's
kind
it.
of
Get
stuff.
wrapped up.
But like this November, December period,
Yeah,
it's just wet as
yeah,
well, and nobody really wants to battle the mud.
that's
So you
it.
just go through, and then Christmas is coming around the corner. So
Yeah,
you just kind of like go, oh, right, we're not going to be playing that much.
yeah,
How do we keep, I mean, we, in inverted commas again, like as the
yeah,
golfing community,
yeah,
How do we keep ourselves a little bit in shape?
Yeah,
What should we do?
it's a good question. So there's activity guidelines. So for adults in the UK, people have gone out and done this research, and basically anyone over the age of 18 should be doing 150 minutes of activity through the week.
Through the week,
Yeah.
right?
Now
Okay.
it sounds like a lot. You think
Yeah.
150 minutes, but actually
It's
you
not
can.
even 30 minutes a day, is it?
There you go. So
Yeah.
you can break it down. So if it feels like it's a bit too much, a 30-minute walk. And in terms of physical activity, it doesn't have to be the gym. You know, gym's not everyone's cup of tea. Not Jim McLaren, obviously, he's a lovely
Yeah.
man.
He's not everyone's cup of tea. I don't think I've ever heard him described as that. Jim's not everybody's cup of tea. Yeah. He certainly isn't. I know that. Wow.
So yeah, activity
That
wise.
feels like another t-shirt coming as well, to be honest. Hi, I'm Jim. I'm not.
Range,
Yeah,
actually.
you could do. Right, forget Tom. We don't need him anymore. Hi, I'm
I'll
Jim.
be
I'm
your
not
new
everyone's
ideas
cup of
guy.
tea. Ah, I'm
Um,
gonna get on to him straight away after this.
Oh dear, poor Jim. Sorry, Jim. So yeah, it doesn't have to be the gym. It could be that, you've got an exercise bag that's got a load of clothes hanging off it as a clothes
Yeah,
maiden.
yeah.
Dust that off. You can get on there. A walk. So with physical activity, people don't think as walking as being exercise, but with the activity, you need to be getting hot, sweaty, and out of breath. And you still want to be able to keep a conversation. So people are like, well, what counts as being out of breath? Obviously, if you're at like
Yeah,
pushing
like
for oxygen,
I'm
then
gonna
you're probably
die.
working a bit too
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
Um,
Back it off a bit.
yeah, ease off a little bit, but just going for a good power walk, bit of cycling. You might be someone who's into swimming. Anything at all counts as that 150 minutes. Even if you're vigorously hoovering or doing housework or out in the
Is
garden.
there any other way to Hoover, Danica? That's the
I've just got
question.
visions of I want to
Get
be
out! Come on!
free.
Come on! Vigorous hoovering.
So yeah, so again, you want to make sure because with your golf, obviously you do a lot of walking. You want to keep your cardiovascular. So cardiovascular is your heart and
Yeah,
your
yeah.
lung capacity. So it's really important that you're keeping that up in some way, shape, or form.
I
Um,
mean, a lot of people play golf precisely because it is that.
yeah,
It's 4 or 5 hours out. I mean,
that's it.
obviously it's the game itself. You're there with your friends, all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you're walking. I mean, we played a course. Might have been Sinnoth actually first one. We came
yeah.
off and then I was like, not on my watch. I get
I
a
was gonna say
distance
your
counter,
steps and
and it was just like you've walked 10 miles. I was like,
wow.
all right, and I did not expect it to be that
No,
distance. And you go,
no.
oh, actually, that's a
Yeah,
fair clip.
it is. So if you think, and I always say this to someone who comes to see me in work, if on average you're doing 10 miles, you've got to think then, right, so say, right, it's November time now, and I know you like to play out in the winter seasons, but just say you weren't, so
Hmm.
someone's kind of stopped playing golf, I don't know, November, then they're not going back to maybe springtime.
Yeah.
If you've not been walking and keeping that up, you're going to go back into it. You're dead excited to get back into it. So you think, oh, I'll play twice a week this week. I'll go again next week.
Yeah.
Before you know it, then that's where these little injuries can creep up on you
Right.
because you're
Okay.
not
That's
keeping
interesting.
the
Yeah.
conditioning going. So yeah, so it is, and again, it doesn't have to be that you're doing something completely different out of your ordinary routine. It's like rather than drive to the supermarket, walk there, carry your shopping bag. That
Mm.
act of carrying, we use the extensor tendons and your flexor
Right.
tendons in carrying
Right.
shopping.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's coming up with like little ways of
This is fascinating, Danica. It really is.
yeah,
Because it is a challenge
of course
for
it is.
everyone. I mean, it generally is at Christmas time and around
Yeah,
winter
you're
time anyway.
busy and
I think, yeah, for golfers, you're not going to go to the range. It's freezing.
no,
Your
that's
hands are
it.
going to get too cold, and you don't
Yeah,
want to do it.
yeah,
You're not. I mean, I don't like going to a driving range at the best of times anyway. But there's that.
yeah.
You're not really going to play unless you have access to an indoor
This is
simulator.
it.
Actually, I'm playing on Friday in an indoor simulator. That's been a revelation to me because I was like, actually, I can keep
Yeah,
playing,
keep the
but it
skill up.
condenses the time as well because you're not walking in between
Yeah.
and whatever. But yeah, you need to do something,
Yes.
don't you, to just keep everything
Yeah.
limber and
And it's probably an extreme example, but you would never do, London Marathon. You'd never just go for like, I don't know, a walk to your corner shop a few times and then rock up in London and be like, right, here we go. I'm gonna do the London Marathon.
is it?
People probably have done that, haven't they?
I think it was Jade Goody, God rest her soul. But I think she did that, didn't she? I
Did
think
she?
she said she just did a couple of training runs and tried to do the
Really?
Great North Run. And
Gosh.
think she gave up after 4 miles or
Oh,
something. But
yeah. That's it. Your body itself would just be screaming, "What are you doing to me?" Like,
yeah,
so yeah, I think the way of kind of keeping yourself conditioned, it's down to what I always say with an exercise, it's what you enjoy. Because if you enjoy it or
that's
if you
true.
do it with a friend,
Yeah.
you're more likely to keep it up as a good habit. So yeah, I think it is
Okay, so just keep active, you think,
keep
is what you're saying.
active.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
main mantra.
definitely.
I like that. I think that's
Yeah,
achievable for everyone, isn't it?
yeah,
Little things, keep walking,
that's it.
whatever. Yeah, great. I mean, yeah, I think that's given us some good food for. Right,
Yeah,
I think I've avoided it long enough now. I think I need to talk to you about what I should be doing for my warm up
there we
before a
go.
round of golf.
Should we do a demo? You can be my guinea pig.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Right,
Let's do
what do
it.
we need to do?
Right. So, again, the big thing is making sure we're mobile and we're loosening up. So think of your warm up a bit like WD-40 for the body. So
All right,
we want to lubricate those
I like
joints.
that. I'll
Yeah.
move your mic a little bit
Thank you
closer,
very
Denika,
much.
just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So your warm up
yeah,
is WD-40.
right,
So it's that quick spray,
yeah,
and we want to try and get things warmer and help to prevent injuries
yeah.
and a build up of tension and things like that. So you rock up and you think, right, I've got 5 minutes.
5 minutes, that's it, yeah.
We'll keep it
That's
short
the
and
best I've
sweet.
got, yeah.
So shoulder mobility, what we can do is basically you're holding your golf club. Now,
Right.
the big thing I want you to do first of all, and you can help me now, sometimes you might find yourself a bit slouched in
Like
posture.
hunched over, yeah.
And if you're, here we go, practicing my swing.
There
If
you
you're
go,
like
yeah.
that,
Yep,
you're not able to use your spine in the correct way as well,
right.
because you're compensating. So first thing I would say to everybody is roll the shoulders back and down. So you want to roll
And is
your
that
shoulders.
just to generally how to improve your posture immediately anyway?
Just to help improve the posture and also get those muscles, because you've a load of muscles around the neck and the back of the shoulder blade area. So through life, yeah, we all end up a bit hunched. I end up hunched when I'm on my laptop, and it's nothing. That's not in itself dangerous or bad for you.
Yeah.
But it's actually thinking, right, do you know what? Let's just check in with that posture. Let's reset it. And then the other thing is little softness in the knees, which with golf, do you have a softness in your knees?
Yeah, you do. Well, I mean, you generally you can't be rigid.
No,
like, your knees can't be locked.
Yeah.
They've got to have a bit of like move and like
It's good to know then. So yes, I think softness in your knees, shoulders roll back and down.
I'm talking like I'm like some kind of swing guru. It's like you got have a little bit of flex in the knee. Yeah. Well, you do. Yeah, I do know that. Yeah.
And then the other thing is like head position. So sometimes we can be like round his shoulder, chin poking forward, and that puts a lot of strain on the back of the neck as well. And if you're in that position, so I'm going to really exaggerate this.
Yeah,
if you're
fine.
Really like flexed head forward,
so you're like hunched over, like your knees, you're really like
going to be irritated.
Okay.
Your elbow position. So so basically soft knees, and you want my feet about hip distance apart. Roll the shoulders back. Head up nice and tall, and then what we're going to do is hold the golf club quite wide. So you're holding it at the end.
Right.
Yeah. Keep it down in front of your hips to begin with.
Yeah.
And all you're going to do is just bring that stick. Here I go.
Stick. Get the stick. Yeah.
Up.
Just arms straight.
Now, what your body might want to do is to let your lower back give in and bend backwards.
Right.
So you're only going as far. That's it.
Right. So arms above your head, basically.
Hands above the head. Hold it there for about 5 seconds.
Right.
2, 3, 4, 5. And then bring that. So you want to keep
it.
elbows straight and bringing it straight. Watch your microphone there. You're bringing it straight down.
That's good.
And then relax.
This is. Do you know you actually just described just generally good golf posture.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. Just generally good. So your knees are slightly bent.
Perfect.
You got your head up.
Yeah.
Don't hunch your shoulders.
Yeah.
I'd be like, if I could do that, I'd be pretty happy with that as a start. But I'm not. I'm all hunched over. That's just that.
And it's interesting because that's what we do in Pilates. So when you start your Pilates class, it's all about 50-50 weight between the feet, softness in the knees, shoulders back, growing nice and tall.
That's it. Yeah.
So imagine a piece of string on the top of your head.
Piece of string on the top of your head.
Imagine Emma with that piece of string.
So that's all you do. Like you've exactly described that. So that's all you do. Like you get that posture set up, and then it's just that, and then the club hits the floor, and that's it.
Right.
So that's what you're trying to keep.
Yeah.
I don't get to that again. I'm like 100 way too much. However,
now that you know, you could, and this can be an experiment for yourself.
Because introduce a little just pre-set up shoulder roll.
But you could do. I was going to say, I don't know how it is time-wise, but I'm sure you get time. Before you go into it, you could just think, right, 50-50 with my weight, softness in my knees, shoulders down and back.
Yeah.
Get into your position. and then go. And what is really interesting is your muscle memory with your brain. So your
Right.
brain is so responsive to, if you're doing that multiple times,
Yeah.
it will then become a learned behavior. So rather than you having to really think, right, am I 50-50? Oh, am I shoulders back? It will become part of your muscle memory as well.
But again, I know obviously you're not familiar with it, but that's a very big part of how golfers play. It's
Right.
preset routines.
Ah.
I mean, everyone's onto that now because everyone's
Yeah.
understood the benefit of that muscle
Yeah.
memory, and it's like right. Actually, everyone's done it more for less so for a physical aspect, like
Yeah. Yeah.
maintenance of your body and making sure you can do it properly.
Yeah.
It's been more for mental, like now I'm ready to play a shot of golf, so I know what I'm doing. But actually, yeah, I mean, it does make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There you go, like hip
Yeah.
width apart.
Yeah.
You
And then
got
if you
bit
try
of
to, yeah,
flex,
that's it. So if you try
bit
keeping
of
your
flex,
elbow,
shoulders roll
yeah,
back. Yeah, I mean
that's it.
that is great
Yeah.
golf swing posture right there.
And that exercise itself, so basically, as long
Oh,
as you're in
separate
that,
strip to your Pilates business
there
here,
you go.
Denika. I like it.
Galates.
Pilates.
Point it, couldn't it be Galates?
That's been trademarked by the way. If
Yeah,
anybody's
don't steal
listening,
my idea.
can't
Thank
have
you.
that. Yeah. I love
But
it.
yeah, if you're doing basically you want to do 5-second hold
Yeah.
and then take it down 5 times. So what's 5 times 5? 25. 25 seconds?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
25 seconds to just get a bit more in tune with what your body's doing.
Yeah.
Good posture. The other way you can do it as well is more for the lower back. So basically, you'd have your nice soft knees, 50-50 weight,
Yeah.
shoulders back and down. And this time you're keeping your length through your spine and you're just bringing it down to the knees, keeping a long spine, looking down towards the floor.
Yeah.
And then you're coming back up again. That's it.
Right. So
So if
basically
you
run
imagine,
the club down your
yeah,
thighs.
you
That's
imagine
it.
that club is like keeping the length through your. That's it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can feel a stretch in
Yeah.
the lower back there
And
actually.
then coming back up. It's a bit like what we call a deadlift position. So when people are
Right,
deadlifting
yeah,
in
yeah.
the gym, it's about keeping like the length
Is
through
that why
the
they wear
spine.
the belts and stuff like that?
Sometimes they'll wear that just to give them a bit more support. But if you're doing that, it's a really nice way to get your lower back
Like warmed up for.
engaging and get it warmed up. And I suppose then it comes back to your position then as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're getting your muscles used to working in that way because a lot of the time with injuries, people might not be aware. You can't watch yourself in a mirror. So it's just a nice way then that you can cue yourself into actually getting things moving around that area a little bit more as well. They're just a few that you can have a go at. So use it as an experiment. Let's use you as the guinea pig.
Do you know what I think I'm gonna do that. I'm flippant about my preps and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play 100 tough courses here.
Yeah.
And we're talking tough courses. Like they're gonna be physically demanding,
Yeah.
a lot of walking, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mentally demanding as well because they're difficult to play.
Yeah.
Like you do need something that just means you can.
Yeah, just to keep
I
you
mean,
going.
also I'm doing golf trips. I'm playing back-to-back rounds as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
whereas previously I'd play and get home a bit goosed and you're not playing for another week.
That's it.
But now
Yeah.
actually I might be playing 2 or 3 rounds back to back.
That's
So
it. Yeah.
yeah, it's important to do that, I think, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could use yourself as a guinea pig. And I don't know if anyone listening, feel free. We could do this again, another session. If there's more specific injuries, we can always go through that.
Well, let's hope I don't get any more injuries.
No.
Let's put it that way. But
I wish that on you.
yeah, imagine. So, all right.
My walking case.
We talked last week about yeah, it's interesting, that, isn't it? I mean, I'll be more attuned, I think, now to the main areas. I mean, the good thing here is there's nothing you said here that's like, okay, you've got to go and crush it in the gym or whatever.
No, not at all.
It's all mobility. It's all
Yeah.
just keeping flexible.
Exactly, yeah. And the way I see it is, hopefully it will help with the golf, but it's just general stuff we should be doing as we get older. Unfortunately, after the age of 35, and now I'm in that category, you do naturally get
It's a slippery slope now,
Yeah.
I'm afraid. Everything starts creaking.
Everything itself, you wake up in the morning, you think, oh my gosh, I'm so stiff. Have I been run over?
What's
by a bus?
happened?
Like, what's happened? And it is. So they did a study years ago into back pain
Right.
of who had changes on an MRI scan. So basically, they scanned people who had back pain, people who didn't have back pain, and the people who didn't have back pain after the age of 35 did have disc bulges, disc
They did,
degeneration. So
right? So it's a thing.
it's a thing. So in the in the general public, you'll have people walking around with disc problems,
Yeah, and
but
never had them before.
never had them before. But because they're active and mobile, it doesn't give them any issues. Whereas then people who have got issues, who stop walking, stop doing stuff around the house, your joints get stiffer, your muscles get deconditioned. That then causes more pain. That might then affect your sleep. It might affect your mood, and then that's where that pain cycle comes in and that vicious circle. So in general, if we could all be doing our 150 minutes a week, doing a bit of stretching, bit of mobility, keep that cardiovascular health going, then as we get older, you're less likely to get issues. It's the classic thing people say, "Oh, I retired, took up golf,
Yeah,
but I've now got this, and this going on." And it's not necessarily the golf; it's just because the sedentary,
yeah,
the other 6 days a week.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just important that you're keeping yourself moving and
Yeah,
grooving.
and it's just, obviously it's well, previously it's always traditionally had a very it's an old man sport and all this kind of stuff,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
suddenly we talked about him a few times, but Tiger Woods comes along and he's like built like an absolute
yeah,
brick S house.
yeah,
Um, and that's changed. That culture's changed. You know,
yeah.
training and weight training
That's
particularly is
it.
quite important now
Yeah,
for
yeah,
professional
definitely.
golfers, but
Yeah,
that's not us, but we
yeah,
need to do something that's
that's it.
just keeping us in tune.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they'd be my top tips to
Right, I
hopefully
like it.
keep you going through the
Just
down
staggered.
season.
80% of people have back pain.
Yeah, it's
That's
huge.
bonkers.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, it's so common. I mean, this is me going off digressing now, but I can't remember. It's so MSK, so musculoskeletal injury. I think it costs the NHS like so many billions of pounds of people being out of work each year, and back
Really?
pain will be up there probably as the biggest problem, if you like. And I think with back pain, it is that fear of, am I going to make myself worse if I push through
Oh, I
this?
see.
And
Yeah, yeah. So you don't
people
keep it
sometimes hold
moving.
themselves back. So
Yeah.
I think that pain score out of 10 is always really useful, because your pain threshold and mine can be totally different. Pain's very subjective. But if
I've got male pain threshold, so it's
you
pretty low.
guys.
Oh, you're like, oh, it's the worst pain ever. Yeah.
But if you think like 5 out of 10, up to a 5 out of 10 is acceptable, because your tissues and the tendons and muscles, they all need some stimulus, because if they don't get stimulus,
Yeah.
they don't regenerate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find it all really
So you need
interesting.
it. So no pain, no gain. Need a
Exactly.
little bit.
Little
A
bit,
little bit of
little
pain.
bit, yeah.
A little bit of pain
Little bit of
equals
pain.
some gain.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no, that's great. Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's very helpful to everybody.
Yeah.
And I think actually, the people listening, it's people who have played recreational golf. We're all in the same boat. We're like,
Yeah.
you turn up, you're getting phone calls 10 minutes to go before your tea time. Like, you're there, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm there. And you're like rushing
That's
around. You're putting your
it.
bag out together,
Yeah.
and you
And
get
I'm
there. And,
sure they weigh, because would you carry it around?
oh no, no,
I was gonna say.
oh no, 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 no. I've got a lovely a new three-wheeler trolley that's
Oh,
just
okay.
mega. Just
Right.
roll that around.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm not.
I was
I'm not
gonna say, if you're
into.
hoiking that around, that'd be a few kg as well.
Not
To
into carrying that back.
yeah.
I think uh that probably contributed to the back pain.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
because they have these amazing straps and whatever, but ultimately you're
You're
carrying a
carrying
really heavy
loads.
rucksack, and
Yeah.
it's always like up and down and whatever, and
That's
it's an
it.
extra little thing. I mean, in winter time, depending on course, in wintertime, sometimes you have to carry your bag.
Right.
And it's a nice way to keep warm
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
doing
Good
a bit of
conditioning.
exercise and,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and whatever, you can use it like that. So I
Yeah.
will do it in the winter time,
Yeah.
but oh no, not in the summer.
Yeah.
Too much to be worrying about after
Oh
that.
yeah.
Don't be carrying that. What, do we live in the third world or something? Jesus, no, no, no. Yeah, yeah. It's I think it's quite easy to become quite a lazy golfer, actually,
Yeah.
to be fair, which is why I think
Suppose you've
these
got the
these
little
warm-ups
buggies
are
as
easy.
well, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean that's actually the one temptation we do resist actually is taking the buggies out.
Yeah. Keep yourself walking and keep that element
I mean
up.
they're good fun, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I think the attraction for everybody I think that's probably a British slash European thing as
Oh,
well.
okay.
Like in America, everyone's always on buggies,
Right. Yeah.
whereas here I think it's the joy of the
Yeah. The
walk and
walking and getting out and being outside. Yeah.
yeah, it's not. I like to think it's that anyway. I don't know. Maybe it's just we're all tight. We want to pay 35 quid for a buggy. But yeah, all right, nice. I think we covered everything. Denika?
I feel like we have actually. I feel like we've had a good chat there through.
I think we've covered
loads
everything I wanted to
We've
ask you.
probably done what we should have done and digressed a little bit, but I think we've covered it all.
No point taking. I said no before. You don't take a direct route. You don't take the direct. You never pass go. You got to go back a couple of steps and then come forward. So no, I've really enjoyed that, Denika. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
I can see why we've not had this chat before, because I think everybody around us would be like, what the hell are these two going on about?
Going on with themselves.
I love that. That was brilliant. Thank you. And again, thanks for taking time away from your beautiful daughter Cara to be here. So thank you very much. Next time on the Top 110 Golf Podcast, we've got an episode I'm really looking forward to, the listener Q&A.